everybody. Welcome to Vicious Cycle Podcast, the podcast about periods and the people who get them. I'm your co-host, Meg H.
I thought we were doing last names.
Oh, God.
Oh, shit. Meg Hayes. Don't at me. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Famous people say that. I don't know what it means.
I'm Kate Elston.
And I'm Meg T.
Okay.
Oh, sticking to her
My
guns.
last name is just so like, Trowbridge.
But I like it.
Thanks.
Bro.
Thanks.
Then you should say it like that. Like lean into it.
Yeah.
Meg Trowbridge.
It's also your new name. You just need more practice with it.
Listen, I don't say it out loud that often.
So today we are taking your phone calls.
Ring, ring, motherfuckers. Sorry, that was
Hotline
aggressive.
bling. Anyway, we're taking your phone calls. We've been getting some awesome calls into our hotline, which again is 9106 uterus. You can call in with anything period related. Mm-hmm. If you're a guy, if you're a gal, if you're a trans or non-binary person, we will take your phone calls.
If you bleed, if you have a person who bleeds, if you have questions about bleeding, call us.
yeah.
Call
Basically,
us.
we're just gonna play a bunch of like miscellaneous calls we've gotten over the last few weeks. It's gonna be great. But can we talk about what we're all going through right now?
Yes, we can.
Our text threads have been emotional.
Yes. Something is in the air. I don't know if Mercury's in retrograde.
I Googled astrological reasons for sadness, and and it said if the Mercury, Sun, and Moon were in, I can't remember the name for it, like certain numbers. Like if Mercury, Sun, and Moon were in 6, 8, or 12, and I'm like, what does that mean?
I have no
And then they were like auspicious sign. Anywho, I was like,
So bottom line verdict.
I think the moon is making us cry.
Oh man,
Is my thought.
We've been all emotional the last couple
Yeah.
days.
I have so many why I cried. They wouldn't even fit into one episode.
I mean, Meg, tell us about that commercial you saw
Okay, so
and that she sent us in an email and proceeded to make us all cry.
yes. So this morning I kicked off our text thread with why I cried this morning, a financial planning commercial.
For Prudential, I believe.
Yeah, or it might be Principal.
Oh, damn.
It's
Oh,
a P
boy.
something.
You know, that's bad advertising if I can't remember what
Exactly.
commercial it was.
but you can remember how you felt.
I did.
Yeah, no, the premise of the commercial is just this, adult son is helping his aging father look for retirement homes, and the father's obviously hesitant, and the son is getting frustrated, and then he sees the old tree house that his dad built for him, and then is like, we can do better. So then he builds his dad a backyard house, and the dad's like, this is for me, and the son's like, you gonna help me finish it? And then the dad looks at him with like tears
Yes.
in his eyes, and I'm just destroyed.
It was like a minute-long commercial.
Yeah.
It was a short film.
Yeah, it really was.
It was.
We'll maybe link to that on our social media. I cried because yesterday was 9/11, and every September 11th when stories filter in about how everyone helped each other on 9/11, and a story I read today was about how there was a town in Canada, I think in like Newfoundland, that just the whole town of like 10,000 people like helped out like 25 airplanes that had to land, and like
They
how
wrote
they
a
all-
musical about it.
That's right, yeah. So like it's just this whole thing about like, and then how, oh my god, so it was like one flight attendant's story about that, and I'm just like sobbing, coming together.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Meghan McCain made me cry for
Again?
the second week in a row.
What'd she do this time?
She gave a beautiful eulogy, and she said, my dad didn't believe in making America great again because America was always great. And then people all started applauding in the church.
Yeah. I mean, I have thoughts about that statement.
Well, I think it comes from a pretty positive place.
Right. No, I
it's
mean-
like anti-Trump.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I was like, yeah.
Right. No,
this
I
sounds
watched
good
her.
to me.
I watched her on The View because side note, I have like a huge
You're a
view head.
viewer.
I'm a
Yeah.
view head.
Also, Kate is...
and I hate Meghan McCain.
Yeah, Kate calls Meghan McCain her bestie.
Like my bestie that I would punch in the face daily. You know, that kind of
Okay,
bestie.
okay.
But I'm so fascinated by her. But yeah,
she is
yeah.
fascinating. She made me cry.
Yeah, that's fair.
So that made me cry. I was missing my grandma who died like 9 years ago. I just thought of her and teared up. So much shit is making me cry. I can't explain it.
Also, like, sad things are making me cry. Like, things I'm frustrated at in work and life.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like, you know.
That too.
It's not all just rainbows and Meghan McCain.
Yeah, right.
To our viewers. Great. Yeah, what is going on with us?
I don't know.
It's something in the water. It's something in the air.
Yeah. My period is pretty late right now. I don't have a period to report on. I'm sure
neither.
I'm like on the brink. I could be recording in 5 seconds. But like, I think it's like a bonus week. Like Meg Tro, you talked about when you had a bonus week and you felt really sexy and like fertile and like alive. Yeah. I feel awful. So I'm tired. I'm cranky. Maybe I'm pregnant.
You never know.
We'll find out. Yeah, it's just been a weird week. So
I feel like
weird week
because Meg had a light period, Kate's late. I had a nice heavy period, and then a week later, a mini second period.
Thank you so much for carrying my period,
Rude, guys.
Thank you.
I did not need that this month.
Sorry.
Your period is.
It's crazy.
Your period is a crazy aunt.
That just shows up.
It just shows up
and
unannounced.
It's loud and proud.
And it's like,
do you have a salad?
Do you have a fifth seating for dinner? It's Aunt Flo.
I am making a commitment here and now on this podcast that in the month of October, I'm going to go to the gyno and be like, is there something up with my period?
Because I will hold you to that.
Not on birth control. I'm just bleeding as my body chooses to bleed.
Do you think that maybe you could like record her while you're there and get permission and then see if she would
or just bring back your findings?
Or bring back your findings.
I mean, I will absolutely bring back my findings.
Okay.
But that's exciting to think about.
You could be like
I can let her know
an
I'm a
anthropologist.
podcaster.
Yeah, an anthropologist of the female form.
My husband Carl, friend of the pod,
long-time listener,
acquaintance,
to 2 episodes,
acquaintance at best.
Yeah. He is playing Zelda on Xbox right now, and one of the weapons you can collect is called a vicious sickle.
No.
That's the best.
And he was like, Kate, look. And it said vicious sickle, and I laughed.
Stop it.
So yeah, cool.
Our new logo, a vicious sickle.
Yeah.
And that's like communism too, like the sickle and the red.
Communism.
And the
Oh, yes.
goes together.
Very on brand.
Very on brand. Yeah. My cat is under our legs right now. Do you feel her?
She's giving me kisses.
Hi, Char.
Baby.
Char. So let's start this episode with just some phone calls. It's a mishmash of people responding to some of the previous episodes. Our first one comes from longtime listener, often caller, Molly Sanchez.
Hey,
she's a 3-peat caller.
Right. She's calling
comments on our Facebook page. Like,
yeah, we see you, Molly.
She's a friend of the pod.
We see you. She was calling after episode 8 on the Bleedia episode when we started talking about what's the weirdest thing you've used if you didn't have a tampon or a pad. Like, what's your resource? So here's what she said.
Hi guys, it's Molly. Molly Sanchez. I'm schlepping 2 bags of groceries through Union Square listening to episode 8. I had to stop before I was finished to tell you guys, gang, one time I used a sock. This is not a joke. I was like 12 or 13 years old, deeply embarrassed about getting my period, to the point where I was on a trip with my grandma and my aunt, and I just ran out of materials, or I forgot to bring them, or what. But I bled all over that vacation, but still thought that like no one knew I was on my period, so I didn't want to let them in on it. I was too embarrassed. So I like sneakily bought maybe 2 pads and thought that would last me. Nay, it did not. So before the end of the trip, rather than ask my grandma or my aunt, both of whom would have understood, I folded up a sock and I used it. Yeah, not my finest hour, but a Girl Scout is always prepared. All right, love you. Bye-bye.
Oh, love you too.
Wow.
A sock.
That is resourceful.
Yeah.
It is resourceful and probably how our grandparents did it.
That's fair.
I mean,
very eco-friendly.
Yeah.
Not great for blisters, but very eco-friendly.
I mean, I see nothing wrong with a sock, you know?
Like it would shift.
It shifts. Yeah.
Smart though.
But Depending on the fabric, probably absorbent.
Yeah.
You know?
Smart.
Well, if you have small feet, you're definitely going to leak. You're going to need to double up.
That's true. I'm lucky I'm a size 11.
You might need to steal a dad's sock, an older brother's sock,
A tube sock.
tube sock.
Thank you, Molly. If
Thanks,
anyone else
Molly.
has any the lengths you've gone to use some sort of backup, let us know.
I'm very curious.
Very
I never
curious.
would have thought to use a sock. Like,
Also,
and now I'm like, that makes sense.
it boggled my mind that I had to teach you guys to wrap it around your underwear.
I never, ever thought of that.
That is like blew my mind, Meg.
Yeah.
You
You're
told us
welcome.
that.
That's next level.
You guys, sheros don't always wear capes. Okay?
But they do wrap their toilet paper around the crotch.
Yes, they do. They do. They do.
Okay. This one is from another caller. Just calling to share their story.
Ooh.
Hi, ladies. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I am actually calling in because I felt that listening to the podcasts, I haven't really heard somebody's personal period story that really reflected my own. And like you've been saying, what is normal to one person is not necessarily normal to everyone. So I just wanted to call in and give my side of the bleed story. I got my first period when I was probably 9 or 10. I was in 4th grade. But I am the third daughter of the family, so I don't have any memories of it being shocking or surprising. I stole my first bra from my sister. I stole tampons from my sister. But I also remember using tampons from the go. So a lot of folks have been saying they never used them until they were finger banged by a person. I am not that way. I've been using tampons since I was probably 10. I certainly had issues with it, not gonna lie. Definitely the whole stick it in much further than you think it should go is definitely a great rule to give people. But more than anything about first periods, I'd say that what's really different for me is the frequency and length of my cycle. I'd say that throughout elementary school and middle school, my cycle would last 10 to 14 days, and it would be heavy for 6 to 7 of those. And by that, I mean I would use multiple supers in a day and a full thick pad and would still bleed through it. And we didn't have a lot of money, so what I remember is I would have my period pants that would just have the old bloodstains on there that I could not scrub out. I had a period sweater that I would wrap around my waist all the time. It was bad. It was really, really bad. I mean, multiple times a month I would need to leave class to go and bleed in the bathroom and not have anything left. It was really, really hard for me growing up as a kid. And it really wasn't until my cramps started getting really bad when I was in 9th grade. I mean, rolled up on the floor, missing class. Luckily for me, my mother and my sister have the same issue, and we also have polyps and cysts and cervical cancer. So essentially, as soon as my cramps started getting bad, they said, well, let's put you on oxy. And I said, maybe not. I went on birth control, and it both helped me regulate my cycle more, cut it down, far fewer cramps. And thank God, and I have to say, that's probably the main reason why I'm still on birth control is because part of me is terrified that if I go off birth control, I'm going to go back to 10 to 14 day long cycle, that happens every 3 weeks. I never ever want to do that again, for obvious reasons. But who knows? Now I'm much older. It's more likely that it's settled down and it wouldn't be like that. But I don't know that I want to find out. I'm curious if other people have noticed that their cycle from when they were younger is very, very different in adulthood. So with that in mind, I just wanted to say, clearly we all have a lot to say about this issue. We haven't had a lot of space to have this kind of discourse in public or in private. So I just want to thank the three of you for giving us the space to talk about it, to vent about it, and hopefully to commiserate together. It really means a lot. I can't wait to call and talk about my period with you all the time. Thanks so much. Bye.
Oh, thanks.
Wowzers.
Thanks for those kind words.
Thank you.
And I'm so sorry for everything you've gone through.
God, 10 to 14 days.
Oh, 6 or 7 are
That's
heavy.
like half your cycle.
That's absurd.
Tampons in middle school. My mind is blown. My mind is blown.
That shocked Meg the most. That fact.
Mind blown.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
gosh, it feels like if you had not a 14-day period, the tampons in middle school could be great, but
Yeah.
it sounds like she still needed a goddamn
Pad.
pad.
Right. So,
Wow.
because do you guys remember being having a heavier flow when you were a teen? I mean, I guess it's hard for us to know because
we've all taken birth control.
Yeah, we went on birth control, so our period naturally went light.
I think I did.
But it kind of seems like the story is like, I think teenage girls, when they finally get their period, it is just like, boom, it's powerful. And then it does seem to like
self-regulate.
Yeah.
I wonder
maybe it's that hormonal reverse.
I wonder if it's because like we're really fertile at
right.
that age.
Yeah,
Maybe.
gross.
That'd be something to look into.
Yeah, who knows?
If it's connected
Someone
to
knows.
My dusty uterus now is
that
just...
someone is not in this room. Charlie? Charlie's the cat. That's why it's funny.
And you're spayed.
I would leak onto my sheets a lot as a teenager.
Yes.
And I feel like I haven't done that as an adult. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that never happened to me. I still wear pads at night and I'm always like, oh, did I leak? And I never do, but I always did as like a 13, 14, 15-year-old.
I probably leak once a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's always like most periods, it's like my period stops when I'm sleeping. That's why I typically also don't wear a tampon because it's like...
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, it just... I think gravity does a lot of my period work.
Interesting. So it's
yeah.
just the walk to the bathroom?
Yes.
you're
Honestly.
like, oh, God.
I kind of wake up feeling like, uh-oh, I think something's about to drop. I mean, that sounds like it's a deuce. And it's not.
Sometimes it looks like one. Hey-o.
But no, I'll wake up. I'll like go to the bathroom. I see what like the liner I'm wearing has like very little on, and I'm like, okay. And then like I look in the bowl and I'm like, Jesus Christ, what happened in there?
Was there a murder? I mean, that's like getting out of the shower too. You're just like doop-a-doo. I don't know. I'm gonna hang out my towel for 30 minutes. Oh my God! A serial killer's in the house. And it looks like they're walking right towards me.
The blood is coming from inside the house.
Oh my God.
And the idea of like the period pants, like, oh my God.
Yes. It
and the
reminded me
sweater.
of our previous On the Bleedia episode.
Yeah, it does remind me of that episode.
Right, the hoodie.
Yeah, and like just having to make do, man.
Oh, I remember
Feel for you.
having leaking onto my pants in college. Definitely felt like, wow, I should be too old to be doing this.
Never too old.
And then I remember discovering it and not having anything, like my shirt wasn't very long. So I loosened my backpack straps as loose as they went and kind of like had it slouching off my shoulders.
Like you were a cool kid?
Yes. And I was a cool kid that day.
How long till you were able to go home?
I think I went straight back to my dorm. Might have even been, I was living in an apartment. I might have been adult enough to have my own apartment.
And adult enough to not have a low riding backpack.
Wow.
Very cool.
All right. Thank you so much for calling.
That's a wonderful message.
Yeah. And call us if you have any updates.
Yeah.
Here's a phone call about someone else's experience with their period and birth control.
Hi, period havers. This is Laurel calling in. I have some insight about the continuous birth control, not having your period. I learned about this from my gynecologist when I was on the NuvaRing, and found out, what? I don't have to have one of those? You know, fuck the patriarchy. Let's get rid of this nonsense. So at that point, I would go and not have a period for, about 5 months, maybe 6. I'd have one every now and then just for kicks or possibly as a pregnancy check kind of thing. And then I got about a year plus into this brand new wonderful system, and all of a sudden I had a bunch of pain in my left boob. And I went to the doctor and she referred me to have a mammogram. And of course I'm freaking out for all the typical reasons. And I go in, they find nothing on the mammogram, and my doctor recommended that, hey, why don't you just, have a period and see what happens? And I did, and it went away. And so she recommended, for whatever reason, the effect continuous birth control was having on my body and on my hormones. So every now and then it was good to, flush my system. So I had to go back to having a period every 2 to 3 months, and that worked a lot better without freaky boob pain. Anyways, love what you guys are doing. It's really fun. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Wow. Whoa.
That blows my mind. Because do you guys ever have just random boob pain?
I did the other day.
Like very
And
infrequently.
I'm premenstrual, which always makes me think I have cancer. I'm like, oh God. It just arrived.
I probably like every other month have like a
Sharp
random
pains. Yeah.
During your period?
I don't think I've ever
Track
thought
it.
to connect
Track
it.
Yeah.
That
Ooh,
is-
thank you so
Thanks,
much for that,
Lauren.
Laurel. That was Laurel.
Oh, that was Laurel. Thanks, Laurel. I was like, that voice sounds
The
so
woman
familiar.
who officiated Meg's wedding.
I thought I heard Lauren, and I was like,
Thanks,
wow, she has
Lauren.
that beautiful.
What if this whole time you thought her name was Lauren?
Is that not her name? Laurel, that's awesome. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Laurel.
She's a
I'm-
devoted listener.
I'm glad you figured that out. That
Yeah.
sounds
Yeah.
terrifying.
And man, it's like we don't have it. It's like women bleeders just have it so bad where it's like you get a period or you don't, and then you have sharp boob
you're
pains.
damned
Like,
either way.
You're just damned.
Because you guys have sore breasts.
Yeah.
I do get a tender
since,
breast.
since I've been on
Right.
birth control, I haven't had as tender of boobs as I did on birth control, which I don't know why.
Oh, maybe me too, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, well, no. Because then I remember I had like crazy sore boobs. and
Yeah,
I
you
definitely was
did.
not,
You
yeah.
did.
Yeah, nope. I'm just all over the map, guys.
You know, I for so long there I thought that I was like a regular and like so predictable with my period, and now I'm just like, nah, man.
I mean, I think our lives totally play a role where
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Stress and
Yeah.
sleep, and
Yeah.
I was just traveling and diet. I just ate so much meat in Texas. All I ate was beef ribs, so who knows? Maybe my body's like,
you're actually just
stop
pregnant with brisket.
Stop.
Actually, because I don't think I even said my last period came like a week early.
Oh shoot!
And then I got
you're
that
such a
second.
mess.
I know. What the fuck?
Maybe you have 2 uteruses.
Oh, shit.
Oh my God.
Really feel like they should have caught that on the ultrasound, but all right.
Okay, here's our next phone call. This is from our first gentleman,
Oh.
and it's a question, and I think it could be a future episode.
Okay.
This is Eric Rubin. I wanted to know why, like with PMS, why some women are affected so much more strongly and intensely by it than others. And if you guys could talk about that and unpackage that, it's why if that's really if that's really a phenomenon, and how and why it affects people differently.
I mean,
Thank you for the call.
Thank you for
thank
your
you for that.
honesty.
Thank you for your honesty.
Honest
Thank-
question.
thank you.
Obviously, you knew someone
Yeah.
who
Yeah,
was heavily affected.
Yes, you've known other women to not be. You think. So I think it's interesting that this phone call is coming from a guy, someone who doesn't get their period, because it's like part of me wants to caution him and be like, listen, you don't know if someone's PMSing or not. Unless someone has confided in you, and for all I know, you have had someone confide in you, be like, wow, my PMS is really bad, and another woman has said, wow, mine is not.
Or unless they like show you their tampon
Right.
and then slap you on the
Well,
face.
here's the thing, though. I think
That's
there's a
Post
misconception.
period, you know what I mean?
So I did some research on this because I was genuinely curious, and I think we'll save this for another episode. So thank you, caller, for that, because it'll be a good episode.
Yeah.
But like PMS is not when you're on your period. That's
No,
a
it's
misconception.
pre.
It's pre.
Premenstrual.
And that's what I always thought too. So doing this research, it's like 1 to 2 weeks before, but also there's this whole set of research that's questioning if it's actually a real
I
thing.
think it's a load of shit, if I'm
Yes,
honest.
so there's a
I
woman.
think it's a way to call women
Yes,
hysterical.
absolutely. And there's research that shows that yes, it's real, and yes, the women get it, but depending on what culture and what society you live in, you experience it differently because you're expected to, or because
Yeah.
it's sort of like in the culture that all women go through this thing. And there's really like 150 symptoms that could be considered PMS.
That's insane.
So yes, it's real. Yes, it exists, but like maybe there's this question of like, hey, maybe if you're fatigued or bloating, there's other things going on besides your period. Maybe not. We'll get into it because I think it's a really good question. It's a really fascinating topic. So thank you for that. And I was just, my first reaction to that phone call was like, hey, you don't know.
Right.
You don't know.
Absolutely.
But maybe you do. And I think it's a good question.
yeah,
I mean,
it's a good question.
And for me, it varies every cycle. Like, I feel like there are some times where I'm inexplicably emotional, and then I get my period 2 days later, and I'm like, God damn it.
It explains everything.
And then there are weeks, or there are cycles where, like, the days leading up to my period, I feel amazing.
Right.
Like,
And there's evidence to show that smoking, stress, your diet affects all these symptoms as well. So like,
Which
Yeah.
is all things that men deal with. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a name for like men being moody. There's
Right.
a lot of fucking names for us being
Right.
moody.
Yes.
Is why I usually say that it's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
So let's get into
yeah.
it. There's a whole TED Talk about it. I'm ready to watch it. So we'll save that for another episode. Thank you, caller.
Love it. Great call.
And hey,
Cool.
if there are non-bleeders out there with similar questions,
Yeah,
call
please.
in. I love that we have a male calling in.
Yes.
That's great.
Because you don't.
Even though we called you out a little bit,
Called you a little bit.
but
yeah,
we appreciate you very much.
you guys don't know enough, so you should definitely call.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I have a feeling that we're gonna get a modulated like voice from Carl being like,
Yeah.
"What is the difference between a pad and a tampon?"
Like using the like scream
Yes.
voice.
Hello.
Sorry, Carl, I love you, calling you out, but you need to know more.
You should call in.
Okay, here is the final phone call, and I'm so excited.
Hey, Vicious Cycle. This is Katie Newman. I don't have a fun first period story for you, but I do have a funny story about what made me cry recently. And so after listening to your episode on birth control, and I recently, and other womb workshops that I have attended in recent times, I took out my in-arm implant. And so I've been a little extra emo as of late. And I caught the end of Homeward Bound, the movie about 3 animals, 2 dogs and 1 cat that get lost and try to make it home. And the end of the movie, I literally caught like 5 minutes of it, and I legit started bawling over the golden retriever that couldn't make it out of a muddy hole. So enjoy. I hope you're all well, and looking forward to more. Bye.
Okay, here's the thing, Katie. I can't even.
Can Kate talk about something?
Can I talk about that movie? Is vintage why I cried. The first movie I ever cried at. I was 7 and it was Homeward Bound. Because if you guys remember at the end, Shadow, the golden retriever, he's stuck in the hole in the muddy mine shaft.
Yes.
He can't get out. Then the other dog, Chance. And Sassy, voiced by Michael J. Fox and Sally Field, respectively,
Right.
make it home, right? So there's this whole
have to
scene
leave him.
where they leave him and they make it home, and you have the kids, they're playing like frisbee in the backyard, and Chance runs out, and it's so exciting, and they never thought these dogs would make it home. And then you hear the jingle jangle of Sassy's collar, and she comes out, and then I'm tearing up. Then the oldest son, who belongs to Shadow, is waiting, and there's no sign of Shadow. And then let's just watch it.
Okay.
You guys.
It was old. It was too far. It was just too old.
Oh, Peter, honey.
Peter.
Shadow!
Oh, Peter. I worried about you so.
Shadow!
Peter, you're okay.
Shadow!
Peter. Oh, I'm so happy. I thought about you all the time.
Missed you.
I missed you, Peter, and I love you.
That is so dumb. It is
It's so dumb.
like manipulative.
We are crying right now.
No, because that's like anytime you leave a pet, like even for like a vacation, then you like get home and you're like, I wonder what he thought. I wonder if anywho.
Oh my god!
That's
So
a
that
manipulative movie.
I remember just sobbing on my living room couch, and now like my sister and I, we will just like to get each other to cry. We'll just start singing that music. We'll just be like. It just gets me every fucking time. So Katie, when I listened to that phone call, I cried. Like this is like why I cried all the time. This movie.
Kate said thinking about why she cried this week made her cry. And
Constantly.
I have to assume it was
Yes, it was this.
Homeward Bound.
And also, how good an actor is that dog for limping? I thought you were gonna say the kid. No. You said the dog. What is wrong with you? The dog limps and then runs. He's a genius.
You guys, the dog acting is incredible.
Impeccable.
The fact that you don't agree with me makes me want to kick you out of the house right now. Like, how can you not see that?
The dog acting. There
mean,
should be a special Oscar category for animal acting.
You do have to admit, how do you get a dog to fake limp? You know, how do you
And
do
maybe
that?
it's a real limp.
But what, then they hurt the dog for the movie, Meg?
Who knows?
How dare. Anyway, so I love, Katie, that you called in with your why I cried. So if anyone out there wants to call in with
Oh
their
my God,
why I cried,
please.
we want to hear it.
Also,
We could do a whole episode.
Yes. Agreed. Also, special love to Katie. She's the designer of our logo.
Yes.
And like all the art for us. So
We love you,
We love
Katie.
you.
We love you.
so
You're
much.
super talented and wonderful.
Oh,
God.
Peter, I missed you. Oh, I love you.
that movie. It might be my favorite movie of all time.
It's been forever since I've seen the whole thing.
Yeah. I have it. I had down. It's on my TV. We can
When we're
watch
done
it.
recording this, let's just watch it to try and get the cries out. I just need something that will make me bawl so I can just get it out of my system.
I don't think it's going anywhere. I think we're crying for the rest of this week.
I actually think that this podcast has made me maybe just more susceptible to crying. Like, I don't know if that's
You're more okay with it, maybe? Like, you're allowing yourself?
Yeah,
Or
honestly,
you're
I think
just
that could be it.
forcing cries for something to talk about.
good
Yeah, that
story.
could be. I'm
guess
actually
that
this emotionless void. And I'm like, well, need something to talk about.
Stabbing herself with a needle. I did cry during
A very emotional book. No, yeah, I think I just feel like, or maybe I just notice it more now that we talk
Yeah.
about it more. I notice how often, because I mean, I'm also like, I love movies, I love TV, I love like film storytelling, and so I think I just don't even appreciate how often like things move me. So
Yeah.
so thanks, stories.
Yeah. If you have a story to tell about why you cried, you call us.
Call us.
9106 uterus.
Do it.
9106 uterus, 9106 uterus. Tell us why you bleed like us at 9106 uterus.
That was a lower octave than we usually do.
I'm still recovering from a cold.
That's cool. It's beautiful.
I'm in a contra alto, I'd say.
Did you have Meg Hayes? Did you have a song you wanted to share about last week's episode?
About last week's episode?
Yeah.
Something about uteri.
Something about Nick. Something about.
I might.
All right.
I might.
Oh, she'll never tell. She'll never tell.
Just gotta cue it up. It's about talk amongst yourselves. Maybe
okay.
about dog acting. The dog acting is going to kill me repeatedly.
Okay, have you seen this movie recently? Because it actually is really good.
It's a great movie. It's
I've
a great
seen
movie.
it through your eyes every year since I've known you. I don't need to
That's
watch
true.
it.
Somehow Sassy falls down a waterfall and survives, and then that cat pretends to be injured for like a whole scene. I mean, it's great. I really hope that they're not hurting these animals.
I think you're forgetting the training, the human trainers.
But humans get trained too by humans. I'm just saying.
Okay.
And humans get trained by animals.
All right.
Sometimes the animals
Okay.
teach the humans.
Hold my hand.
You guys,
so true.
I'm the vegetarian of the group. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
All right. What's your song? Sing us your song.
Stirrups, robes, and duck lips waiting. My vagina scared and hating this exam so much. This sucks so damn much. On my way to four-year college, need this pipe to get some knowledge. I can achieve it. I can achieve it. Scoot your ass a bit closer, patient. Move down, 'cause today is the day when one becomes two. I need a second uterus like I need a hole in the head. I got a goddamn bonus uterus. Period's a mess. It makes so much sense. Goddamn bonus uterus. Uteri be free. It's the only way to bleed.
Oh, so good. I love these
Thank you.
surprise songs.
Yes.
Surprise songs are the
Agreed.
best.
I really wanted to
got
sing
a
it. I
million.
really wanted to get in there, but I was like, oh, I don't know the lyrics.
That was to all the people out there who have a bonus uterus. You are not alone. And God bless you. It just means you're twice as awesome.
God bless.
God bless.
We should probably also say for anyone that's confused, that was Two Become One by Spice Girls.
If you're confused,
you
you
can
can
see
see
the
the
door.
door.
If you're confused, delete this podcast.
You can see the proverbial door on your way out.
That's our episode. I mean, I cried all day and I cried during this recording. Like, that's just my life now. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And, you know, as always, please follow us on social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Vicious Cycle Podcast. Rate us on iTunes. Find us on Stitcher. And always, please give us a call because we love listening to your calls. Tune in next week because we're having another On the Bleedia episode. We're going to be touching on some current events that have us riled up. Keep calm.
And tampon. Hey.
It may be primal, it may be vital, but it makes you homicidal. It's a vicious, it's a vicious, it's a vicious cycle.
Our theme song was performed by The Go Ahead. Check out more at thegoaheadmusic.com.